going on, everybody? I am Winston A. Marshall, aka the Swaggy Blurred, and this is my spoiler review for Black Mirror Season 6, Episode 3, entitled Beyond the Sea. Whew, sweet Jesus. Okay, so as I mentioned, this is a spoiler review, so if you haven't seen the episode, and this is one of those ones where you do not want the twisty twist ruined, please go watch it and make sure you come back. If you hit that subscribe button, you'll get the notifications when the videos come up. But I'll be sitting right here. I'm not going anywhere. But there is a lot to unpack in this particular episode. So definitely take that time. Go watch the episode. Come on back, man. And this one was a long one. This one was a full 80. It was almost a 90-minute feature film at this point, and it needed the time to breathe because Jesus. So we've got a stellar trio here. I mean, you've got an awesome creepy cameo from Rory Culkin as part of a cult that does not F with the idea of replicas and technology and all that kind of stuff. But you've got Aaron Paul playing Cliff Stanfield. You have Josh Hartnett playing David Ross. And you have Kate Mara playing Lana Stanfield, Aaron Paul's wife. So obviously you have Josh Hartnett's character David. He's very loving with his family. He's very sexual. He's very caring to his kids. He's a great drawer. He can draw from memory, all that kind of stuff. That's all important because essentially when Rory comes in, it ends up being like, we don't mess with this machine man. It's not natural. It's an abomination. And by that, the replicas, what I'm talking about is that David and Cliff are in space. They are astronauts, but technology has been developed for them to be able to neurally link to a replica that they have back on Earth so they can spend time with their family and still live a normal life and then work on the mission when they need to, go on back. So you end up in this situation where David's family gets murdered. He has a full meltdown. And so, being kind, Lana suggests to Cliff, so Kamara suggests to Aaron Paul, hey, why don't we let him use your replica just so he can get some fresh air, so he can, have some sort of connection because he doesn't have anything left. And so, in doing so, it starts off great until it goes sideways because first he's down there, he really appreciates what's there. He draws the house from memory back on the space station and then asks, can he go down there and oil paint the house for them as a present, as a thank you. And the issue with that is while he's there, he is flirting with Lana a little bit. Like, he notices that she's a reader and he recommends some books because he's a reader himself. Teaches her how to paint a little bit. And I think that moment that you could see the writing on the wall of what was coming this entire time, but that didn't mean that it wasn't completely gripping. You have this situation where eventually he makes a pass at Lana, and she's sort of into it, but not really. She's into it just in the sense that Cliff has kind of been ignoring her. But she is like, absolutely not. That you're a guest in this house. You hit my son. I'm not interested in you in that. Like, you got to go. And so eventually, what ends up happening is when Cliff starts to figure all this out, there's a point at which David is down on Earth in the replica. This is after the past had already happened, but he finds nude portraits that he had drawn of Lana. And so they have their own scuffle, and David calls out and he goes, yo, bro, your wife is lonely. She ain't been touched in forever, and she clearly clearly wants something. And you don't take it, you do not appreciate her. And Cliff loses it, punches him, you're never coming back down there, all that kind of stuff. And he goes back down to Earth, and he's flipping out on her as well. Flipping out on Lana, just being like, well, what happened? He draws from memory. And she was like, I swear on my life, I swear on our child's life, nothing happened. He tried, it made me uncomfortable. He hit our son, it didn't happen. But he is correct. I'm very lonely. Even when you're here, I don't feel like you even see me. And it was a very powerful exploration into marriages, long-term marriages, people that get caught up in their work, because that's essentially it. Cliff is up in space, focused on the mission. They've got 2 years left on their mission. And so when he's home, he's just more trying to enjoy not having to do stuff. So he's enjoying cutting wood. He's enjoying just going fishing with his son. He's enjoying doing a lot of stuff, but he's not paying attention to his wife. And she really is kind of lonely, but they finally have that come to Jesus, and it feels like they are on the right path at that point. But this is where that final craziness comes in. David asked to go back one more time to apologize to Lana face to face, and Cliff goes off and goes, "Nah, son, you're not doing shit. You're never gonna see her again. That's not fucking happening. You can go fuck yourself." Um, Cliff gets called from Earth back to space at one point. David tells him, "Hey, there's a leak of coolant. You got to go out there," and that's where you're trying to figure out how is this gonna go wrong, because Cliff is always the one that has to go out in space, and it looks like David is the one that does all the technical stuff on the actual computer. And so while he's out there trying to fix the coolant, nothing's wrong with the coolant. Ultimately, David or Cliff starts to panic because it's like, wait, nothing's wrong. So he races back to the ship, can't get inside because David won't let him in. And then finally, when he does, he gets his stuff. He realizes that David had his tag that allows him to transport back to Earth. And he panics and he races down there. And when he wakes up, you already know what's happened at this point, because David says he was in the bathroom, but he was gone long enough to do something. You see Cliff's replica already has blood on him. His hands are soaked in it. And as he's walking through the house, they don't show us the actual bodies, but they do show the blood everywhere. And that's the thing. So when Cliff goes back, David's just sitting there waiting for him, kicks a chair out. And almost to say, like, bitch, now you're just like me. And it's crazy, because then your mind starts to go to places like, if Cliff kills David in this moment, or if he attempts to, he's already said this is a 2-man mission. He wouldn't be able to get home. So unfortunately, he has to just deal with this. But like, now this man has taken everything from him, and it was a really, really incredible acting study from Kate Mara, from Josh Hartnett, and from Aaron Paul. They all really just went there, and what feels like what you would see if you were it almost felt like a short theater play, to be honest with you, like something that you would watch that unfold. And I appreciate the elements of that you would see, that slow build that's kind of kicking in. You're not really going a lot of different places. You're really focused on just the space station and the home. Obviously, we see David's home earlier. We see the town when they go shopping and stuff like that. But you're really just focused on these two main areas, just like a stage play. And it really just unfolded beautifully, terrifyingly. Like, you saw the twist coming, but not in a way that was off-putting. It was in a way that, like, even knowing what's going to happen, you're just kind of on the edge of your seat anticipating. Almost like what a lot of times when prequels happen, there's this idea of, like, I know how this is going to end. So you know that someone has done their job and told the story exceptionally well, even if you know what's coming, that you're still enthralled, that you're still shocked, that you're still just feeling all these emotions. And that's exactly what you felt, is that dread for Cliff the whole time, is how is David going to snap on him? The main thing that this story felt like it was really trying to address is what grief can truly do to somebody. And even having the cultists come in here, it feels very reminiscent of a lot of stuff you're seeing now, where people are they can be so caught up in their ways and their mentality and their thinking that they will put other suffering, because they feel like their beliefs are above all else, on other people, and how that can really have a ripple effect. So there's just a lot to unpack here, and it was absolutely phenomenal to watch so far. My favorite of the season, obviously, again, this being the longest one at 80 minutes, the previous two being 56 and 54. That doesn't include the credits, but we're talking about like a good 75 minutes realistically. But if I had to give it a rating, I definitely am gonna. This is made my top 5 of Black Mirror, honestly. So I got to give this like a good 9.5. This was really, really good. And sometimes you don't need a lot. You do not need a lot to really get to something that enthralling. So I want to know what you think, though. What did you think of Beyond the Sea? I love that they had the French I don't know French, so I'm not going to pretend it. But what elements did you love? What elements did you hate? Is this also in your top, or are you done? You're like, nah, man, I'm not rocking with this season at all. I have heard mixed things on the internet about how people are feeling about this season. But, you know, this one was good for me, man. But what about you? So please be sure, leave a comment down below. Tell me what you thought about it. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Again, I got a lot of other reviews and out of the theater reactions popping off. There should be one for Indiana Jones that I would have put out, I believe, today when this is coming out. When I film this, I gotta check my calendar. So check that out as well. But yeah, and then check out the comedy, man. Breakfast AM News, some of the sketches and stuff that's on here, and be sure to follow me over on TikTok, Instagram, where I got more content popping off over there as well. So with all that, I will be back tomorrow with Maisie Day. That is the fourth and penultimate episode of season 6, or at least I believe they split it into 2 parts. So at least this first part of season 6, that would be the penultimate episode of part 1. So be sure to come back here, and until then, y'all, be safe, be healthy, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.